Hello, and welcome to Shortcut Up CNC. Today we're going to talk about open versus closed vectors. This is going to be video number 2. Uh, Earlier, you looked at the video of open closed vectors of this here, of these vectors. What we're going to do is we're going to go over to sheet 2, which is a little more complex. And we're going to look at the open versus closed on these. I'm going to do a Control A to select all vectors. And you notice our little squares showed up showing open vectors. Okay, so now we're going to investigate these open vectors. And I'm going to start with this one down here. I'm going to click in the drawing view and I'm going to click on the vector. And all that vector does is just make an image of a ghost. And the ghost is sitting behind the N. The N is actually a closed vector. This shows that you can have open and closed vectors in your project to show certain things. And that is okay. You can have that kind of situation. Tool pathing is another thing, but we'll look at those later down the road, and you will find that there's certain ways to tool path it to get it to look the way you want it. Now, there's other open vectors. If I go and highlight just this area here, we'll see that we've got a bunch of them, bunch of open vectors right in here. And these open vectors are just to format a belt. Now there's a square, which is a closed vector, and then that's an open vector. And we tighten up a little bit more, and there's an open vector. And that's probably an open vector there and an open vector there. And it crosses over a little bit. These you will show up on a vector validator, and you can solve that by just taking the uh, trim tool, the scissors, tighten up on your shot, and trim those. And now they look a little better. In fact, you may want to move those nodes a little bit so that it doesn't overlap. You notice these don't overlap. In fact, you may want it to overlap a little bit uh, or stop just in front of this other vector, this closed vector. It all depends on the tool path you're using and what type of bit you're using. So those are all the different factors, and we won't get into all that, but that's a way you can. And to move that node, you just go into node edit mode, and you can slide this node back a little bit. Same thing with this one. Just slide it, click on it, hold your mouse key down, and slide it back a little bit. Now, when you zoom out, it won't look so bad. But that and tool pathing is where you'll have to make the adjustments. And those open vectors are okay also. And let's see, I think there was one other vector that's an open vector. Okay, we got to get out of the node edit mode, N key on the keyboard. And there's the little black square that shows that it's an open vector. And that's okay too. What it's doing is it's making the moon, and of course the moon crosses across this witch, and we'll fix that in a few minutes But this is the way the original vector came. It came with the moon with the bats inside of it. Then I added the witch. So this vector is okay as is. We'll leave it alone. Now we'll go to the witch here, and we're going to make some adjustments. We're going to go to the scissors tool again. And in this case, we're not going to rejoin anything. We're just going to trim out the moon out of the witch. And we want to leave that vector because that's part of the moon. And we bring that one out, and there we go. Now that looks good. Now you're going to end up with some more open vectors because now this is an open vector and this is an open vector that goes all the way across here, and then this is an open vector. So by doing what we just did, we created the moon now has more vectors, creating a circle portion of the moon. And each one of those vectors is okay as is because I want the witch to look like it's on top or in front of the moon. So now that is all. Well, let's see now. Let's go back and do a Control A, and you'll see all the new start node is here instead of over here for this moon vector. And then you got a start node there, and you've got a start node that runs back to this way for the finish of the moon. And all the other vectors we didn't make any changes except for a few little adjustments, and they should be okay when we go to tool pathing. But once you start your tool pathing and the type of tool that's being used will determine whether those vectors are satisfactory or not. So there you've seen some complex situations on using open and closed vectors. This can be beneficial in helping you with your drawing design. Thank you for watching Shark Cut Up CNC.